Power Rangers teams did get paid, if any. I recently made a video responding to the question, were the Power Rangers paid? And a great number of people made the joke I could have been talking about the characters or the actors, but no real world drama here, just fun musings about an in-show hypothetical. I responded only in regards to Mighty Morphin and made a joke about child soldiers, because you kind of have to, but it brought up many interesting topics in the comment section. So, what Power Rangers teams did get paid, if any? Thanks to Jamie Rosegold for this opportunity to deep dive into my favorite franchise. I'm going to judge the team's working conditions by 3 factors. Were they paid? Did they get time off? And did they have access to medical care? Starting with Mighty Morphin, that's no, no, and no. Many people mentioned that they were given the opportunity to walk away when the job was first offered to them, which I must respond to by saying they did walk away. Zordon had them teleported into the middle of the desert, aka he kidnapped them, and then he made them walk back without water or directions. He clearly manipulated them, letting them keep the Morphers and having them walk back in plain view of Rita. He knew they would get attacked by putties and that they would be forced to morph. And the thrill of their first battle was bound to bring them back to the command center. But it's a conceit of the show that Zordon is pure good. It's just a notable flaw in how we choose to write these kinds of stories. On the subject of the Mighty Morphin team's downtime, Stephen Briggs said, "No time off. When Tommy became the White Ranger, he was just chilling, just swimming, and Zordon said, 'You're mine, bitch,' and just nabbed him." Which brings up the concept that you will never get proper time off for this job, even after you leave. Not to mention, and I know it was part of the whole red herring thing, they wanted us to think Tommy got kidnapped and not guess he was the new White Ranger, but he yells out in pain when they teleport him away. What's up with that, Alpha? Someone tried to argue that the Mighty Morphin team get time off in the first half of Alien Rangers because they go to a water park and such, but that's not time off. They literally can't morph anymore, besides which the water park gets attacked while they're there. Zordon does say, make sure they use this day to have fun, but I do not trust him to not call the second he needs something. Being on call is not the same as having a proper day off. Real quick, we don't know what the Alien Rangers have access to back on Aquitar, but I'm getting good vibes from their underwater globe city. They're a very mellow, advanced society, and I'm just gonna pull out of thin air that I think they have medical benefits, time off, and are paid. But I'm basing this on vibes only. By the time we get to Zeo, the Rangers have been upgraded to much nicer digs. The power chamber actually has a med bay, and that's not nothing. Considering that Kimberly just has to go to the regular hospital in season 3 when her pink power is waning. The Turbo Rangers also have access to the medical bay in the power chamber, or I guess the medical table, but they don't get paid and they don't appear to get any time off. At least Tanya and Tommy are shown to have summer jobs where they keep getting interrupted and called away on ranger duty. The In-Space Rangers are an interesting one because back on KO35, we don't really know what the deal was. I have a theory that Andros is a member of the royal family because that would make it make more sense why someone so young would be awarded such a high-ranking military position. And if that's the case, I would think he and Zane were more like public figures and didn't get paid. And it seems like on KO35, the Power Rangers are a branch of the military, which I base off of their relationship with Quinwan and Taikwa, which is what's left of the planet's leaders. Their identities are known publicly, and they have close personal relationships with their military leaders and just like regular council leaders. Plus, they make it out like Zordon worked alongside the government to make the Morphers, implying that they're like government regulated. So if they're not royals and they really were just so skilled that they got the rank of Power Ranger at such a young age, I would think they'd have to be getting paid by the government. Obviously, out of touch and living on the Astro Megaship, no one was getting checks, but they did have a great medical bay. Quick question, how is it that they live on the Astro Megaship if they're still in high school? I mean, we already saw TJ and Cassie come to town on a bus, which begs the question, why are high school students moving to Angel Grove alone? But Ashley and Carlos were already living in Angel Grove because they were a cheerleader and a soccer player, so do their parents not wonder where they are? It was mentioned a few times in the comment section that the Zordon era Rangers should have unionized against Zordon, which actually brings up an interesting piece of trivia that A, the OG 6 actors did try to unionize against Saban in order to get a raise, but only 3 followed through and they were fired for it. And that's why Zach, Jason, and Trini leave so suddenly for the peace conference in the middle of season 2. And B, the show Power Rangers did not hire SAG actors until it was bought by Hasbro in 2018. The first ever Power Rangers actor to be a member of SAG was Rory Travis, who played Devin Daniels, the Red Beast Morphers Ranger. Lost Galaxy all have their own jobs, except Leo, who has an entire episode dedicated to the fact that he can't hold down a job. But Kai, Kendrick, Damon, and Mike have jobs with GSA that I'm sure pay well and come with good benefits. But as Rangers, no one knows their identities, and they're certainly not getting paid by the Galacta Beasts. It's kind of crazy how the 4 Rangers with real jobs just give Leo and Maya a place to live and buy groceries for them. I mean, it feels a little shady and illegal, although not immoral, to put up a friend in your military-assigned dorm room. How do they not get caught doing that? Lightspeed Rescue is a pseudo-military organization that is obviously well-funded. I mean, the Rangers are shown to live in apartments on the Aqua Base, they even have a cafeteria, and a really nice medical wing. And I would say it stands to reason that these Rangers are the first team of officially employed Power Rangers. I mean, they're offered the position for which they leave their current jobs. None of that juggling work-life Ranger identity nonsense. They actually have a support network in place. Good job, Captain Mitchell. But Ryan has demons. Not very supportive ones. In episode 13, Ryan's Destiny, when he decides to leave Mariner Bay rather than pick a side, he buys a bus ticket? How is he paying for that bus ticket? He just left the underworld after a decade, and they don't have money there, and if they did, Diabolico certainly is not the kind of dad to be giving his kids an allowance. Anyway, in A Face from the Past, the Rangers are specifically given a day off, only to be called in from the beach. And yes, they go back to the beach at the end of the day, but that's not what a day off is. That's just a work day where you go to the beach before and after work. Maybe I should remove the time off category. I mean, once you become a Ranger, there is never going to be a moment in your life where you are safe from being called in. On this subject, Matthew Thorne says, reminds me of when the Samurai Rangers were given a day off, only for a monster attack to stop it. Also happened with Megaforce, even though we saw them relaxing at the juice bar all the time. Technically, Kat was actively using her Zeo powers when she was pregnant. So Luigi Rob's 14 wonders, so did Kat and Tommy get maternity-paternity leave? Was Kat called in mid-contractions? Now here's a big question. If Time Force is also a paying military position, do the 4 time-traveling Rangers get reimbursed for their time spent working in the past once they return to the future? Or is the year 3001 more like Star Trek and there's no money, people just get what they need to survive and contribute to society freely? Either way, they weren't getting paid in the year 2001, and Wes went and cut his own damn self off from his rich dad. I mean, the Silver Guardians are rolling in the fancy tech, high pay, and probably really nice med bay. Meanwhile, the Rangers are squatting in an abandoned clock tower, working odd jobs without a license just so they can buy pizza, and their idea of a hospital is setting someone on a cot in the middle of the room and just hoping. Wild Force is an interesting season because I think it really highlights what a person gives up to be a superhero. They all give up their jobs, dreams, and lives just for room and board on a floating turtle-shaped island. They sleep in threadbare makeshift cots and certainly do not get paid, and their med bay is pretty much the same thing that the Time Force Rangers have. Carlos Miguel brought up the great question, did the Ninja Storm Rangers actually pay to be Power Rangers. How does one apply to a secret ninja academy? I mean, how do you get accepted? Do you have to pay? And also, the other students seem to be living at the academy. So why were the main three not? It is wildly unclear if the Ninja Storm Rangers are just out of high school or still in it. They don't mention their living situations or show them. At one point, the Thunder Bros are told they need their parents to sign off on a motocross thing, which says they're at least under 18, but Shane's brother comes to visit him, not to visit the family. Like, they're both moved out and he's going to visit his brother at his house? Anyway, they aren't getting paid, and Dustin is the only one shown to be working a job. So, are they all living in Tori's van and Dustin is using his paycheck to buy them food? The Dino Thunder Rangers are in high school, like Zordon like Tommy, though he didn't technically hire them. They stole the Dino Gems and fell into the job, but he isn't paying them. The Dino Lab has a small med bay that they possibly only use for Tommy. I swear he's messed up more than half that season. And behind the scenes, that's because JDF had it in his contract that he would have time to go home and visit his family. So that's why he gets frozen, stuck in his suit, and turned invisible. SPD have to be getting paid. But the point that Jack is totally an indentured servant was brought up. I mean, they straight blackmail him into joining SPD and frame it like an opportunity to get out of jail. So if the rest are getting paid, I think it's entirely possible that Z and Jack are not. SPD does offer them a place to live and sports a very fancy medical wing that they literally walk out of in the episode Badge. I mean, what is it about Rangers and refusing medical treatment? The Phantom Ranger chooses to lay face down in the jungle over spending recovery time on the Astro Megaship with Alpha. Kendricks acts like working all day on a severely injured leg without telling anyone is morally astute. And the entire SPD team leave a hospital against their doctor's direct orders to square off a second time with the guy who put them there. Man, Rangers really do need therapy. Mystic Force's base is in a tree. Okay, moving on. Wait, no, not moving on. Because several people claimed it was getting paid for them to work at the Rockporium, or for Casey, Theo, and Lily to work at Jungle Karma Pizza. Like, what? This is giving me, you think 10% is a good tip vibes. Those jobs are what they're getting paid for. Working at a pizza place all day is hard work, and their paycheck from RJ is for that work. It has nothing to do with their job as a ranger. They're working 2 jobs and getting paid for 1. I would say the only benefit of working for your mentor is that they won't fire you for skipping work or being late because they know why you're doing it. So that's working in the favor of all the employees of the Dino Bite Cafe and Jungle Karma Pizza, but that's really the only benefit. Also, was RJ paying them? Or was he abusing his relationship with the Rangers to get free labor? No, he was paying them. And their med bay was a hammock. Operation Overdrive was a huge point of contention because they left their jobs and lives to become Rangers, and Mr. Hartford is rich. But was he paying them? JJ Howell has this to say. It's the hill I will die on for Power Rangers. Will states they dropped everything for the mission, which says to me they weren't being paid. Interestingly, Will was the one who came up as a point for Overdrive the most. Several people claimed he wouldn't do it if he wasn't getting paid. Someone said he got paid for his tryout, and I mean, technically, Mr. Hartford did hire him to break into a safe where he would find his invitation hologram, but does that really count, or is that just Mr. Hartford being theatrical? I already kind of covered Jungle Fury. I don't think RJ paid them. He just put them up, trained them, made them work in his pizza shop, and tossed them in a hammock if they got hurt. How did he afford that really high-class obstacle course out in the forest? Someone brought up the same Star Trek possibility that they don't use money anymore in Corinth City, but from Ziggy's dealings with the mob, we know they do. I mean, he lost them a lot of money and they were coming after him for it. Also, in episode 19, the Rangers foil a grocery store robbery where money is shown exchanging hands. The RPM Rangers are cared for by Dr. K, who wouldn't have any of her own money, having spent her whole life in a secret government think tank called Alphabet Soup. However, I think she is funded by the governing body of Corinth City, and they give her that building and anything that she needs. Since the Rangers are known by the public and work together with the military, it just makes sense that they and Dr. K are maybe not getting paid, but given funds to take care of their needs. As many free car parts as anyone could ever ask for. I will say government agencies seem to be the ones who hire adults, probably because they're the ones who can pay them. Teens are far easier to take advantage of. So, with the Neo-Saban Era's return to teenagers with attitude, Megaforce, Samurai, and Ninja Steel don't get paid. But Ninja Steel does have our second Ranger experiencing homelessness. Cole Evans, the Wild Forest Red Ranger, is the first. He travels to Turtle Cove from an unnamed jungle and spends his first night sleeping on a park bench. But the Rangers kidnap him, take him in, and he has a place to live for the rest of the season. Brody Romero wasn't so lucky. He spends 10 years as a prisoner on an alien spaceship, only to return and find his brother missing, his house 100% foreclosed on, and his father still kind of exploded. And none of his teammates offer him a place to crash. And he's never shown sleeping in the base with Mick Kinnick. That dude is totally homeless for all of season 1. And then his family comes back and his dad gets the house back and he's all good by season 2. But I will die on the hill that he is our most official representation for a Ranger experiencing homelessness. We have no idea where the Dino Charge Rangers sleep. Well, Coda sleeps in a cave in the base because Miss Morgan is better than Brody's friends, but the others' houses aren't shown. They all work at the Dino Bite Cafe in the Amber Beach Museum, and their med bay is one little table that's gotta fold out or something, because we never see it unless someone is on it. But this season brings up a great point a lot of people made. Why don't Power Rangers teams have someone to tap in and work so the main team can have a day off? They almost get to this level in SPD, but the system isn't systeming, maybe because they're in a time of war, but the only Ranger I could think of that really felt like they always showed up when needed was Prince Philip of Xandar. Anytime the team was down a few members, in walks Philip. They were so close to discovering how to make the time-off system work. Just have Miss Morgan, Prince Philip, James, and Xenowing hold down the fort so the others can go camping or something. Beast Morphers are a branch of another pseudo-military organization called Grid Battle Force, a lot like Lightspeed Rescue and SPD. We know people have jobs there. I mean, the Yellow Ranger Zoe had a job getting paid to work in the laundry room, and Nate is literally employed there as their head scientist. He even goes through the process of hiring another assistant in the show, with interviews and resumes and everything. Those Rangers are definitely getting paid. However, as large and well-funded as that base is, they have the same method for medical care as many of the other seasons. Just wheel a table into the middle of the room that doesn't normally serve as a medical area and lay someone on it. Why do so many Ranger bases do this? It seems really ineffective. Dino Fury does not get paid, but when Zato and Ion were knights back on Rafcon, I'd imagine they did get paid as members of their government/military. What they have now is just what's left over, and I doubt that includes funds. They at least have a whole room for medical recovery. It's a tiny room though, and I only think there's one table? Is there an episode where there's 2 people in there? Cosmic Fury is in the same base, working without the same supplies, and even worse, they're stranded on an alien planet for part of it, so yeah, none of them are getting squat. And that's all the seasons. A couple people brought up, why is this important? And the answer is, nothing we do is important. We are all specks of dust in the endless universe, ever-expanding collections of spinning stars and black holes. And nothing I ever do will matter. But it's fun to talk about. Besides, I think more superheroes should get paid. It's bad enough we write them such shitty lives to keep drama high and ratings up. The least we could do is give them a little something to cover their rent. I think we should change the way we look at this sort of thing. Many people made it about the Rangers, like they would be bad people if they stopped because they weren't getting paid. And we shouldn't be focusing the narrative on the heroes. Besides, we all know they keep heroing even if they weren't getting paid because that's exactly what they're doing. The focus of the conversation should be on the flawed systems that fail us. It's not whether or not they would stop, it's that they deserve. There's a deeply ingrained guilt around work in Western culture, like you're bad or worthless if you don't run yourself ragged for a company that doesn't care about you. And I could totally see Alpha finding a way to petition Angel Grove and get payment for the Rangers added to taxes under public service. One comment that stood out to me because it was really well worded read, "A paycheck isn't a good enough reason to stop protecting the Earth against the forces of evil." But I would say losing your job because you're always absent, not being able to afford food or rent, getting kicked out of your house, suffering from homelessness, breaking your arm and not being able to go to the doctor, and then having a nervous breakdown because you're always on call, those things would be enough to stop you from protecting the Earth against the forces of evil. With great power comes great responsibility is such a guilt trip. Uncle Ben was wrong. He should have looked Peter in the eye and said, "You're a good person and you have value and you don't owe the world anything. But I know you're gonna change it anyway." Operation Overdrive was a huge point of contention. Was a huge point of contention. I said contention again. Operation Overdrive. This is the part where I lose my ability to speak. Yes, I am the Lord of Burps.